guys hear clicking in the background, it's my oven. I don't know why it does that, but anyway, welcome back. I am excited to share today's video with you all. I am going to be doing a Thanksgiving related food, as you can tell by the title. Thanksgiving is super important for us Mennonites and Amish. We tend to have big family gatherings and get-togethers, and food is obviously the main thing, which I feel like most of America probably looks at it the same way. But so I thought I would share some things that are maybe a little bit more cultural specific to us. Also, I will not be sharing everything that we would have at a Thanksgiving meal because it's usually a joint effort and lots of food and lots of yumminess. So some of the things that we generally have, and I'm gonna be making today, is dressing. It's so good. Does take a little time to do, but you can do it ahead of time. So if you want to make it for your Thanksgiving, definitely you can do that. You can do it ahead of time, freeze it, and then cook it on the day of or whenever. I'm also going to be sharing a mashed potato recipe with you guys. I know I've shared this before, but it's so good. Maybe a gravy to put over the dressing, and I am doing pumpkin pie. Typically, some more things that we would have at Thanksgiving is date pudding, and that's my husband's pretty much his favorite dessert ever. But I did film that like 2 years ago in a video, so I'll just have that link down below. Another thing would be pecan pie, grape pie. We would have salads, sweet potato dishes, turkey, obviously. I decided not to do turkey because that's pretty intense, and I'm not really a turkey expert. I actually don't know if I've ever done turkey myself because usually there's always someone older and wiser to do turkeys. So I'll leave that for you guys. I feel like turkey's kind of, you know, you can find turkey recipes anywhere. So these are just some things that I'm going to be sharing today, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I will have as much in the description box as I can, like recipes and everything. If you're new, my name is Lynette. Welcome. I'd love you hit the subscribe button. That would mean a lot. All right, let's get started. I'm going to begin by making the dressing, and I'm going to chop the veggies, which is celery and carrots. First of all, just dice them into pretty small pieces. You're going to also cook this then, so you don't want them to be too big. And then also you're going to dice up some bread. It doesn't have to be a certain kind of bread. I just kind of used what I had. And also we're going to dice up some potatoes, all kind of, you know, the same approximate size if possible. So here's the bread cubed and toasted. That's your first step. So once you have everything chopped and ready to go, you're gonna grab like a saute pan or something. And I used a little bit of chicken broth just to have a little liquid on the bottom. And as you can see, I just put it all in there, and I'm just gonna like simmer it on low and let it cook until it's soft. You also need some chicken that you can pick off the bone. That's my preference, and that's usually what you use to put in dressing. So I did this ahead of time, and it was cold, so it was a little harder to get off the bone, but it's something you can do ahead of time also. So that definitely helped to cut down on the day of actually making it. I am gonna cut up this chicken just a little bit finer, like just kind of like, you know, take a scissors in there and just make so that they're not quite as big pieces. So I still have this liquid here that I set aside. I just wasn't quite sure if I needed it all, so I'm gonna let it kind of soak up once, and if I need to add more, I can. Okay, so I am gonna put some of this dressing in the freezer and I'll fry it up later because we are clearly not gonna eat all of this at one setting. So I'm gonna put some in the freezer. You could probably also fry it and then freeze it and then just heat it up, but I'm guessing it wouldn't be quite as good. So that way you can thaw it and then fry it fresh. So that's how I'm gonna do it. There is like a little bit of liquid in here. I think that looks about right. Now, if I can keep myself from eating it, wait till supper. Oh, so good. So fun fact, I used to work at Der Dutchman in Waynesville. Oh, and here comes Oakland with cereal. All right, what are you gonna do with it? Anyway, as I was saying, I used to work at Der Dutchman in Waynesville for a couple of years, which is in Ohio. Der Dutchman is an Amish style restaurant and they have multiple locations. Belleville, Pennsylvania, Holmes County has a couple, Plain City has one, Waynesville has one. Well, I worked there before, like back in my teen years, and the building since partially burned down, probably like 11, 12 years ago, which is really sad. But so I was never in charge of like making the dressing per se, but I helped and I fried many a batch of dressing at the restaurant. And I used to love to try and have like a little bit of like a crust, kind of like I was trying to do there, which means you don't want to continually flip it a lot. I used to help with dressing so much, and mashed potatoes and things like that. I used to be prep cook, salad bar attendant, salad bar prep. Anyway, that's just an interesting tidbit, and I was thinking about that today as I made the dressing and stuff. Oh, and one other thing, this dressing here, you totally don't have to bake it. I feel like it's plenty cooked. Do you like it? Is it good? Say chicken. Yeah. I also want to take a minute to thank Walnut Creek Foods for sponsoring today's video. They're based in Holmes County and I've talked about them a lot. I love their company and what they do. They try to make as many of their own products as they can. They have several store locations, Walnut Creek Cheese in Ohio, so they'd be in Berlin and Walnut Creek, so definitely make sure you stop there. You can also order, which is what I'm doing here. I put in an order from Walnut Creek Cheese and I got this, I'm gonna say maybe like a week after I ordered. Probably depends a little bit on where you're located and things like that, but I decided to do that this time. You can also find them in maybe local delis, bulk food stores, gas stations, and things like that. So I highly recommend their products. Definitely check them out, and also check out the link in the description box. The next thing I'm doing is the mashed potatoes. So I'm using russet potatoes today. I also will use red potatoes. I'm not too picky, although I've been gravitating towards these just because they're a little bit bigger the last while. So that's what I'm using today. All right, so I'm getting ready to do the mashed potatoes. The potatoes are cooking, they're almost soft enough. I never really use a recipe when I make potatoes because I've made them so often. The key is you do not want to add any liquids. The key to not having lumpy potatoes is you don't want to add any liquids until they're completely mashed. So what I like to do is pour the potatoes in here, mix them, stir them a couple times, mix them, keep mixing them. You can put butter in while you're doing that. You could toss it in the bottom of the bowl or something. That's fine to do that. And mix them till they're completely lump-free. Now sometimes potatoes can act a little weird. I've had that happen, but mix and mix and mix, and then you can add in, you know, your salt, maybe a little bit of pepper. Sometimes I like to add in garlic powder, and then we add in a lot of extra stuff that a lot of people don't, and it's not healthy. This is not something we eat every day either, so we love having rich potatoes. So basically the next thing would be we add in cream cheese and sour cream, and then once that's all mixed around and all of that, then we start adding milk. Don't add your milk at the beginning. Don't add it like until everything else, all those solids are in. So then if you have evaporated milk, that is probably the best. If you don't, you could also use just, you know, like whole milk or something. And then you just add milk until you have it at the right consistency. I like mine to be somewhat runny-ish, not like, you know, super runny, but enough that they're not like sticky. And our potatoes are not like a chunky potato. They're not thick. I mean, they're like smooth and rich and creamy, and they're so delicious. And then what tops it off is browning some butter. So you put butter in a pan and you melt it, and then you keep cooking it until it kind of starts to turn a little brown. Then you turn it off, and then once you're ready to serve the potatoes, you pour that over the top, and you guys, that just takes it to the next level. I know I've talked about this before, and a lot of you already know that, but if you're new, I highly recommend you try that. By the way, all my pots that I'm using today are from Caraway, and I love them. They're non-toxic, non-stick ceramic. I really, really like them. I'll try to put a link in the description box if I think about it. Once you have everything the way you like it, then you start adding your milk, as I mentioned, and just do it a little bit at a time, not too much at once, and then just like mix and scrape and repeat. You get the spatula? Oh. And there's the mashed potatoes. We actually kind of use the brown butter as our gravy. At least our family does. We're not huge on gravy. But dressing is really good to have a little bit of gravy. So I'm actually just going to make some chicken gravy from scratch. Typically on Thanksgiving, we'd probably just use like the turkey drippings and things like that to actually make real turkey gravy. So that would be really, really good. But I decided to make some really quick. And I'll see if I can put a recipe down below, but basically you're gonna have like your broth and chicken base and maybe some seasonings first and cook it. And then I just mixed in a little bit of flour and water together, I believe, if I remember right. And I think you also put an egg yolk in there, so that way you don't have any lumps before you add it to your hot liquid, and then that will thicken it. And that's pretty much it. It's really, really easy and good. Alright, next is my pumpkin pie, and you can see the ingredients here. I also have my pumpkin from Walnut Creek Foods, and our pumpkin pie is generally a bit more like almost custardy. You put in some egg whites, and I don't know if you guys do that or not, but let me know if you do, and I will try to put this recipe in the description box. One thing I will say, I do not have a crust recipe for you. I'm just not very good at making crust, so I've just been buying them, like the pre-frozen ones, or I'll use like the Pillsbury type crust if I want to do one with a top. It's just really easy, and I find that I make a lot more pie if I don't have to worry about the crust. So maybe eventually I'll get better at it, but so for today, just the filling. Alright, and these are the baked pumpkin pies. I really like this recipe, and I think it turned out pretty well. This makes 2 pies and maybe a little bit more, so yeah, you'll have a little bit of extra filling unless you have some extra large pie crusts, I'm guessing. So love me some pumpkin pie. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Also, if you have any questions, leave them down below, and all the recipes and everything will be in the description box. So make sure you also go check out Walnut Creek Cheese and see what all they have there. And I also hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will be seeing you all next time. Bye guys.